Hello everyone, good evening. It's 5 p.m. on the dot. I think we have just Oluwafemi Adediran on the call. Wait a bit for the others to join us up so we can commence today's session. Hello Femi. Hello Femi. Okay, I see Mr. Ridwan Badmus. Hello, good evening. How do you do, sir? Mr. Badmus, how are you doing, sir? Can any other person hear me, please? I don't know. Is it something wrong with this? I don't know my network.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, yes, I can.
Okay. Because for a moment I was scared. Am I loud enough?
Your voice is like it's fading out.
I don't know why that is. Better now.
Yes, much better.
Okay, I don't know what the problem is. Hopefully. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to week 5 of the Data Protection and Privacy course of Juliana Imam, Intellectual Property and Creative Consult. It's the fourth quarter in the year 2023, the last quarter for the year, and we're so grateful to God that we made it this far. My name is Goslov Kamaloni, and I'll be your moderator for today. Thank you so much to Gypsy for this opportunity. We're looking at one of my favorite topics in the Data Privacy and Protection course, and that is DPO, Data Protection Officer, and it's one mind-blowing subject to look at. I'm really thrilled. Okay, we have some of our mentees already joining us. So I'll quickly move on to opening up for today's discourse so we can hear from our mentors. Mr. Ridwan Badmus is already on the call. Welcome, sir. Really an honor having you again. It was a great time with you last Saturday. Nice to have you again with us today. We'll have other mentors join us also on the call. I know along the way we have our amazing Jade Sola, we have Mr. Emmanuel, we have the grandpa himself, Mr. Solomon. So it's going to be an engaging class. So let's ensure that we make it so engaging. Okay, so it's week 5. Do not forget that after this quarter, we're going to the next quarter. And when the next quarter comes, new courses for more courses for registrations. If you know that you've gotten enough, like you've learned enough from the GIIPC courses, you can also register to return next quarter to do more courses. We have so many amazing courses. There's IP, there's AI, there's energy, there's fintech, there's entertainment and law, like a whole lot of amazing courses you can also benefit from. So you can also always return next quarter, register. If you feel like, okay, probably you've done enough courses, you might not be returning, which I hope you do. We still have a platform for you to reach out to other people, send them the graphics. You can post on your social media handles and invite other people to join also to learn from the wealth you've also enjoyed. So don't forget the 30 minutes one-on-one session with your favorite mentor. It's still on in the JIIPCC program. Please make good use of it. Ensure that you reach out to your favorite mentor. Okay, having said that, over this quarter, we've had amazing mentors on this program. Today, we'll be seeing some of them recurring. Today, we'll be hearing also from Mr. Solomon. Okedara. He'll be on the call today. Mr. Ridwan Badmos is already on the call. He'll be handling us of our mentors today. Mr. Emmanuel Equere will also be here as one of our mentors. But making her debut for this quarter, we have the amazing Jadi Sola Esson. So please, Mr. Dennis, if you help me, please, so we could just get to meet her more. For the other mentors I called, we've met them before. We can also check on their profile on our LinkedIn page. Also, I think they were sent to us earlier. You can read that to know more about them. But for now, let's get to meet our debuting mentor for this quarter, the beautiful Jadesola Esson. Okay, thank you. So Jadesola Esson is a legal practitioner with about 3 years experience in corporate and commercial law, compliance, commercial litigation, corporate governance, policy review, data protection, and legal research. She is well versed in negotiation, community liaison, dispute resolution, and crisis management. She's a corporate governance and compliance professional in the financial sector. Hello, Jadesola Esson, and welcome to today's discourse. It's really a great and a huge honor having you join us for today's session. We cannot wait to hear from you. Okay, mentees, do not forget that after we hear from our mentors and hear their opening statements on the discourse, we're going to come back to you for your presentation. Please get ready because after their opening statements, we're coming to you for your presentation, as well as if the presenter cannot go on, please, the backup presenter, kindly get ready to take over. So, with so much joy, I think I want to start off with our terrible mentor for this quarter. Hello, Jadesola. The floor is yours, please. Welcome to JIIPC. It's nice having you for the quarter. And can we get to have your intro on the discourse? Let's get your narration. Let's get your discussion on the topic DPO, Data Protection Officer. The floor is all yours, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
Hi, good evening. I had to check my screen to be sure who you were introducing, whether it is me or somebody else. But thank you very much. I am honored to be here. And I must say again, I was around for the last session, the last mentorship session, and I had picked a day that I thought, oh, this day I will be completely free. And something happened. Fast forward to this time, so I had picked a Saturday, expecting that no, come what may, I will be free. But I had a busy week, and I thought, oh, this weekend is just to recluse. I was in a meeting earlier when I saw the reminder for this meeting, and I'm like, oh my goodness, not again. So I apologize in advance for any tardiness, but I am going to make it up. I'm going to be speaking a lot from just experience, and I'm sure that is what matters here, and that is like the reason why I had picked this topic. So we are talking majorly around a data protection officer today. A data protection officer is a role that we can say relatively recently come up in corporate space. It wasn't a role, at least when I was in school, right? It wasn't a role that we were preparing or we were aspiring to fill. There was almost nothing like a data protection officer then. But I mean, here we are now with all the things that has been happening, especially post-COVID occurrences. It has necessitated having a data protection officer in house. And I must say, especially if you are when you speak to somebody that works that works externally, I don't know how to put it now, that is not working in-house, the experience as a data protection officer will be slightly different from somebody that is working in a day-to-day corporate space where you see data collected daily, you see data being used daily, and you are constantly, it is always a war between compliance and especially income generating units and sometimes management, because the income generating units, all they have in their heads is, oh, we want to bring in money, we want to do this. So you have to be the one constantly checking them. I mean, recently we have a weekly housekeeping meeting that we do right in my office, and there was a day during the meeting, one of my dealers was just mentioning the name of clients, what they bought, what they did, that had to be quickly contained there, because for him, right, he's just trying to give a detailed presentation of what his week has been about. But the reason why I've been put in this role, I do other forms of compliance, not just data protection. So the reason why I have that role is to be able to not just train people on how they are supposed to comply with these regulations, but also be in on standby when they are about to breach it, or when they are breaching it, right? In a case like that, you call them to order. As a deep data protection officer, you have to be quote unquote fierce. You have to be assertive. As long as you know what you are talking about, be armed with information, be armed with, refer them to what is empowering you to give this advice. But you have to stand on your feet. Oh no, this is what the rule says. This is how to protect ourselves. Not just, not just protecting the clients themselves, but protecting ourselves too. Thank you. We will speak more to it when it's my time to present, before I say all the things that I have planned. And just like 15 minutes before this presentation, I've been looking at the slides that were sent. I must say very well done to everybody, but when it's my turn to speak, I'll speak more on that. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And of course, yes, you're the one we're introducing. You deserve every accolade. Thank you for being with us. Okay, now that was a strong opener. We really appreciate that. Also, to one other fantastic man who wowed us last class. Hello, Mr. Ridwan Badmos. Welcome to today's session. How are you doing? We're trying to get his attention for a while now. Okay, he's on.
Hello, sir. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm sorry.
Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Fine. How are you doing too? Thanks for
Good saying that
the.
I'm okay. So the floor is yours. Let's get your opening statement on the topic,
Yes,
data protection officer.
sure. Thanks for the initial compliments. So I'm really glad to be here once again. Thank you, everyone. The last session was actually an interesting one, and I'm really glad to be here again. And I'm saying hi to Jadesola as well, my co-mentor here. It's really good to see you here. So, I'm not really sure what to say, but I think, because I know the different teams that will be presenting will do a lot of a lot of explanation as regards the work, or the work of a DP, of a data protection officer. So the major thing I just want to kind of stress or emphasize is actually what's the should I call it, the skills or the expertise that a DP will need. So, and the that we actually need kind of 500,000 DPOs to fill 500,000. We need DPOs to fill job roles of a DPO, so to say. And I think one of the other things that's also caught my attention was that anybody could kind of act as a DPO, as far as they have the required expertise, by through training, and that's something that I think we really need to kind of talk about, especially as regards the fact that when we're talking about the first requirements of a DPO is actually the requisite law, including the NDP, the NDPR, and other, even the internal. But also important that we the reason
Sorry, please, can we all hear him clearly, or is that just
can you hear me? Okay.
No, sir.
Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes,
how about
yes.
now? It's better
yes,
now.
please.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. So So as I was saying, I said in the last session, I know I stressed a lot about the technical aspects, even though I'm a lawyer. And but then the reason I stressed about the technical, I always stress about the technical aspects is because most of the companies that we see as data, processors or data controllers, they tend to be technology companies. And we need to understand that when we talk of complying with data protection laws, that has to do with the applications, the building, how the applications actually, how the applications work. We really need to understand how that, even though we don't need to go, to get to the nitty-gritty as a lawyer, but then we still need to kind of understand the basics, and we also need to kind of ensure that there is a kind of there's a kind of interrelationship with other departments, especially the engineering departments. So, and that is how because when engineers are building the applications, they're building the products. So how do they ensure that they are building privacy into that, into the application, into the product they're building? And that is why we have privacy by design. The essence of privacy by design is actually for you to design, kind of build privacy or data protection into the application of the products you're building. So that's going back to the topic of discussion, which is DPO. It also applies to a DPO in the sense that when if even if it is not a lawyer, if it's anybody, you need to understand the in three cases, should I say in three cases? But then you need to understand the data protection law. You need to understand the Nigeria Data Protection Act, the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, and then you need to, just as it was stated, I think I'm not sure if it was in the implementation framework of the NDPR or if it is in the NDPR itself. That's one of the requirements or one of the things that you need to consider. One of the consideration of appointing the DPO is actually for the DPO to be conversant with the business process of that organization, of the data controller or processor, as the case may be. And the third one would actually be the technical aspects, because you need to one of the roles of a data protection officer is actually to ensure that the organization is complying with data protection laws. And the way you're going to know that the products they're building is in compliance with data protection laws is actually to know how the product is working. So a DPO really needs to understand how a product works, even if it is at a basic level. And another way this works, because as I said, of course, I'm not saying that lawyers need to learn, or anybody who is not really working in the tech, working in core tech, really needs to learn about core technology. But what I'm saying is actually, number one is know the basics, and then the next step, which will make it easier, is actually to know how to kind of interact with those engineers, so as you will be able to pass the information effectively, and you will also be able to ensure that there's compliance with relevant data protection laws. So I think that's enough for now, and I hope to talk more into the discussion for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ridwan. It's always an honor listening to you speak. Thank you. So to our mentors, thank you so much to Jadisola. Thank you so much to Mr. Ridwan. We really appreciate that. Okay, so our other mentors are not on the call yet. So when they come on board, we'll also listen to them and hear from them. Well, right now, I think I want to move on to the mentees for their presentations. Group 1 presenter, are you ready, please, to wow us with a fantastic presentation? It's DPO, so I'm sure that we'll be having some stellar presentations today. Okay, Group 1 presenter, are you ready, please? Please, where the person is not ready, please, the backup presenter, get ready immediately to take over. Hello, Group 1. Okay, in the absence of anyone for now, I think I want to move quickly to Group 2. Hello, Group 2 presenter or backup presenter. Are you on the call.
Yes,
Hello, Ifunanya.
yes, sir. I'm here. Good evening, sir.
Group 2, good evening.
Yes, I'm here.
Are you for Group 2, please, or Group 1?
I'm for group 2.
Okay, thank you very much. The floor is yours. Please carry on.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Um,
Yes,
We
we
can
can hear you.
okay, thank you. A moment. Okay, please give me a moment.
Hello, Ifunanya.
Sir,
We're waiting for you, please.
yes, I know. I'm trying to start this slide.
Okay, okay. I think you could go ahead while you're working on the slide.
Thank you. What did you say?
I said, I think we wouldn't mind if you start off the
Okay, tell me
presentation
now.
to get your slide together.
Okay, yes, okay, yes, thank you. So good evening, everyone. I am a member of Group 2, and today we'll be treating how to appoint a DPO. A DPO is a data protection officer. So we'll be treating how to appoint a DPO, penalties and fines for non-compliance. Now, our table of contents has everything, every essential thing you need to know about how to appoint a DPO, penalties and fines necessary for compliance. Our introduction, the vital thing you need to know about data protection, about a data protection officer is that the role of a data protection officer is an upcoming role, like Mrs. Jadesola said. But the main purpose of a data protection officer is to ensure that in an independent manner, an organization applies the laws protecting an individual's personal data. That's just all you need to know. That's an overview of a data protection officer. And a data protection officer, you need to know that his role is to ensure compliance. And most often, a data protection officer is a technological firm, is an IT firm, because we aspiring lawyers and practicing lawyers really won't delve into data protection roles. So most times this intermediary officer, this intermediary person is a technological firm, is an IT firm. So that's what you should have in mind during our presentation. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone.
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear you. Yes, we
Okay,
can
thank
hear
you.
you.
So who is a data protection officer? A data protection officer serves as a guardian of data privacy and protection. Him serving as a guardian means that he is an expertise whose question is just related to data related matters. So the moment a data related matter arises, a data protection officer is the person that has all the answers at your beck and call. Now, comparisons of GDPR and Nigerian regulations regarding DPO appointments. You need to understand that Nigeria as a country, we are really not in the forefront of data protection laws, privacy and protection. So we are relying on our Nigerian Data Protection Regulation, our Nigerian Data Protection Act, and the GDPR, because the GDPR is like this universal umbrella act. That's why every single time you keep on seeing the GDPR regulation. So you need to understand that the role of a data protection officer is not mandatory. This is seen under the GDPR and the NDPR. However, even though it's not mandatory, the moment you now decide to appoint a GDPR, you need to comply with the intricacies of a data protection officer, because you can't just delve into an area of law or an area of expertise and not expect to like deliver the best. So the moment you decide to use a DPO, you need to comply with every possible procedure or every possible law there is. Now, as you can see, we mentioned a case below. This is in 2019, there was an annual report in Germany that Facebook Incorporated was fined a total of 51,000 euros because they did not just comply with data protection, the role of a data protection officer. So what you can draw out of this is that although the role or although the presence of a data protection officer is not mandatory, the moment you decide to comply with the intricacies of a data protection officer, you must do it to the very end. Like you must follow everything. So now a DPO's qualifications and expertise. Now, as you have seen before, a DPO, the role of a DPO is not mandatory. However, the moment you decide to comply with the intricacies of following the provision of a DPO, there has to be like certain qualifications. Now, there's no specific qualifications for a DPO. However, GDPR states that a data protection officer shall be designated on the basis of professional qualities. Now, you are like our middle link. You are our intermediary. We offer you our personal data on online platforms, and like you're the link between us and the organization. So the moment a DPO is there, it's just expected that you give us your best. There's no specific qualifications that you must be this or you must reach a certain criteria, but it is expected that you stand on a basis of professional qualities. And this is said in Article 39 of the GDPR. So now we're going to delve into the GDPR and how the GDPR talks about the role of a data protection officer. So Article 3.4 of the NDPR provides that a DPO shall have requisite knowledge. He should inform and advise the organization. He should monitor compliance with the NDPR. For the fact that there's no specific qualification, if you decide to comply with providing a DPO, then you should have certain things should be met. That's just what the NDPR is saying. Now, penalties and fines. Remember our topic for today is a DPO, penalties and fines. Now, we have already touched that a DPO is a person who is he's an independent body, and he's a link between the organization whose role is just to ensure that the data protection laws are complied with. Now, the moment he does not ensure compliance of these laws, you can rope him, you can punish him or sanction him under the GDPR, the NDPR, or the NDPA. So now under the GDPR, because this is our umbrella regulation, the GDPR states that if you do not comply with Articles 8, Articles 11, Articles 25, through Articles 43, you will be charged a sum of 10 million euros, or in the case of an undertaking, 2% of the total worldwide revenue. So it shows that data protection laws are really advanced, and not just advanced. You need to understand that even if these laws are not advanced, you need to understand that personal data of persons are also very valuable. You can't just handle the personal data of a person anyhow. So that is why you are seeing that. Do you know what 10,000 euros is like? It's just crazy. So the second one, a data controller in breach of Articles 5, 6, 7. If you do not comply with these articles, there will be an administrative fine of up to 20,000 euros. This shows that personal data is very important. So even though there's no specific qualification, the moment you decide to appoint a DPO, he should follow every criteria there is. Now, under the Nigerian regulation, Section 48, and as you would see, Section 49, provides for the penalty that a DPO should face. Now, as you know, the common term, tamper justice with mercy. If someone should do something wrong, it does not now mean that you should give him the highest form of punishment there is, or you should make him seem like he's the worst, or there should be a metric to your punishments. That's just the purpose of Section 48 sub 2, paragraph D. So it's saying, however, yes, nobody is perfect. So the moment you make a mistake, the moment you do not follow these required specifications, there should be a penalty, obviously, and you should pay a fee. You have to be sanctioned. But this sanctioning is not going to be so ridiculous. The commission, the board, has to follow certain criteria, was there intent? Were you negligent? What type of personal data was involved? Because let's be sincere, not all data is the same. So what's the nature, the gravity? Was there a duration of infringements? Do you get? So you have to tamper justice with mercy. They don't just give you the highest attainable punishments there is. Everything has to have a flow. So a data controller found in breach can be ordered either to pay the highest maximum amount or the standard maximum amount. And this obviously is in line with if there was intent, if there was negligence, the nature, the duration of the infringement. Like they don't just tell you to pay 20 million euros up. Like there has to be some sort of measure. Either you pay the highest maximum amount or you pay the standard maximum amount. That's just what it's saying, because since we are following a system of justice, we have to understand that you have to tamper justice with mercy. That's just it. And tampering justice with mercy follows like all forms of law, even data protection law. So, okay, now let's go to cases, because we can't just discuss data protection and data protection officer without mentioning important cases. So now, for example, NITDA, we all know that NITDA is the agency that regulates NDPR. So now, for example, NITDA on the 15th of March 2021, this is fairly recent, imposed a fine of 5 billion naira on a fintech company and a 6-month regulatory oversight. Like, if you remember earlier on, I said that a DPO, usually a DPO is not just, it could be an individual, but most of the times it is a technological firm, a firm inclined or based on all these kind of things like technology aspects. And that's why you're seeing here that a fintech company was fined, because usually they are the ones that handle and ensure this data compliance. So now to the next part of our site, you see in August 2021, this same agency imposed a 10 million naira fine on Soko Lending Company Limited. This fine was as a result of an investigation into various violations of the Soko loan. So like the moment you decide that you want to use a DPP, it's essential that you follow certain compliances. Like you just can't go with anything, because if you show that you are the best, then you should really like tread the path of being the best. You get a kind of situation. So now benefits and disadvantages of internal DPU and external DPU. Now, there's obviously there are firms, there are businesses, and every business is trying to advance itself. Like this is the online, while like in an online setting, a global setting. So now most even small businesses, large scale businesses, most of the times they will need an internal tech person, someone that can just get everything done. And most often at times, for the whole formality, you might also still have an external person that can just like someone out there, someone that is actually in the field, someone that is a competitor, that kind of situation. So at times there are internal DPOs and external DPOs, or there can be both. So now the choice between an internal or external DPO depends on the organization size. Because if you are running a small organization, I see no need for you to want to deal with a very large technological firm. Like that's just so unnecessary. So now many organizations opt for a hybrid approach. You combine with the internal DPU and then combine your external DPU. So you have like two consultants from like the best possible areas of wherever you get your people from. So now an internal DPU obviously has his benefits and his disadvantages, because like nobody's perfect. Now, the advantages of having an internal DPO includes in-house expertise. Like at your beck and call, anything can get done. Immediate access, cost efficiency, because our country. Yes. Disadvantages, conflict of interest, because a lot of things could happen, personal life and whatnot. Then resource constraints, limited external perspective. Because let's be sincere, if someone is out there, someone who keeps on putting himself out there, he will definitely have more qualifications, more experience, more, every other thing that can be more than a person that would be inside. Now, external data protection officer. A large firm, basically a data protection officer, appointing a data protection officer will be dependent on certain things like the size of your firm and certain things you have to get done, or the inflow of the personal data. Exactly. So now the benefits of having an external data protection officer is one, impartiality. So resource flexibility. We also have expertise diversity, because he has been out there, so he knows every nook and cranny of what he can give you. Now the disadvantages, you have slower response time, cost considerations, because he's a big deal. So you really have to just give him his worth. Now, types of penalties and fines for non-compliance. If you can remember, if you have been following Group 2's presentation, you remember that at a point, Articles 8 and Articles 5 of the GDPR said that if you do not comply with something, there's a 20,000 euro penalty for as per administrative fine. If you are going through our presentation, you see something called administrative fine. So fines are in different categories. And also, if you have been following me, you'd notice at the point you said that you will not just be punished based on anything. You would consider if there was intent, negligence, if you get all those kind of situations. Now that is the reason why there are different kind of fines and penalties. So you have to temper justice with mercy, and this fine has to be commensurate to whatever you have actually like done. So fines and penalties must be effective, proportionate, and dissuasive for every individual case. Because like as a law student, you keep on saying that everything should be decided on its merits, on the circumstances of the case. Exactly. Just don't go and give somebody,
Please kindly begin
sir,
to round. Thank you.
no problem. You just can't give somebody the maximum punishments for something that he did not deserve. So types of penalties could be administrative fines, criminal fines, data erasure, temporary limitations, and what have you. Now, judicial case studies. Okay, we would almost finish. So our first case study is Google LLC and Marriott International UK. So basically, these companies were fined because there was a breach of transparency, inadequate information, and what have you not. So our conclusion, in summary, you need to understand that there is a data protection officer, and though his role is not mandatory, the moment you appoint him, it is essential that he follows certain criteria, and that there are different types of penalties and fines. And the moment he does this, his punishment should be under the law. That is either GDPR, NDPR, or NDPA. So our questions have been submitted, and yes, that is the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ifunaya, for an amazing presentation. That was probably well done, well done, well done. Good job to you and to your group. That was a very, very nicely done presentation. Amazing job on that. Amazing job. Okay, so quickly, want to move to group one. Are they ready for us now, please? Group one, your presenter, a backup, or someone from the group can take on. I see Chukwemeka is for that.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Hello, good evening, Chukwemeka. How are you doing?
I'm very fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, loud and clear. Are
Okay,
you
yeah.
able to
So
get the group?
yeah, not really. My group, they're not available. I want to just represent. I'm in group one. I want to represent my group.
Okay, fantastic job. Please, the floor is yours. 7 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you. Please pardon the background noise. I'm not in a quiet place.
Okay, it's fine.
Thank you very much. So I will share my screen now. Okay, can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Can hear you.
Okay, no, it's okay. So our topic is data protection officer compliance and enforcement role of a DPO. So our table of contents as is on the screen. We're talking about who is a DPO, qualifications of a DPO, compliance and enforcement role of a DPO. When a DPO is required, then we'll look at statutory authority and judicial cases. So I'll begin. So who is a DPO? From what you have on the screen here, it says that a data protection officer is a role within an organization responsible for ensuring compliance with data protection laws such as DPR in European Union or the NDPA and NDPR in the Nigerian jurisdiction. So as you can actually see on the screen here, we have the sections of the law that provide for a DPO. For the EU's DPR, we have Article 37 that says that provides for the appointment of a DPO by any organization, both public and private. And then Section 32 of the NDPA that also provides for the mandatory appointment of a DPO by a data controller of major importance. Now, as was said last week by our mentor, Mr. Solomon Okedara, we are still waiting for the NDBR, that's the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau, to give us a list of what constitutes a controller of major importance. So until they bring up a list, we will know which body and which other body is a data controller of major importance. So we move on to qualifications of a DPO. To qualify as a DPO, there are certain criteria that you must meet up to, even though the law doesn't really give us a clear-cut provision for who is to be a DPO. But from what we can see in terms of what organization will look out for, we have here that one, for you to be a DPO, you must show expertise in the sense that you must have an adequate understanding of data privacy laws and protection, and also you must also have understanding of what is the compliance requirement for anybody or any organization that wants to be in the position of a data controller or processor. Number two, we have here independence. It says a DPO should operate independently and not be influenced by the organization. What this really means is, as a DPO, as a data protection officer, you must be able to have your own ability to make your own, let's say, decisions. Yes, it mustn't really. The company shouldn't tell you what to do. Your job is to ensure that your organization is in compliance with what the law has provided in as to data protection laws. Three, it says here that conflict of interest. So as a DPO, you must ensure that they must be said they must not be in a position where their interests are conflicted that could hinder their impartiality. So as DPOs, you must ensure that whatever you are doing, you must always be on the side of the law. Like one of our mentors at least said today, you must be able to you must be able to put your foot on the ground and say, what I am doing is my job and is what the law has provided for. In that, you must be able to tell your employers or whoever you're working for what the law says as per data protection laws. Three, four rather, you must be accessible. DPOs have to be accessible, especially towards data subjects. You must be able to reach out to you so you can ask their questions, and they must have their questions answered with immediacy and also with clarity. Last but not least, it says here that a DPO must be a resource, must have adequate resource support. So I didn't get that. So it said, so as DPOs, you must be able to handle your duties effectively, and you must be able to provide both your data subjects and data controllers with adequate resources as to their basic needs. So you must be a resource person as a go-to person for data privacy needs and inquiries. You must be able to hold your own and be able to give out whatever or more or less answer any questions that is being asked of you. Then we'll move on to okay, if I move on, to qualify as a DPO, in as much as you see that there's not really clear-cut provision in the law, but one has to at least have some understanding of data protection laws. You must have this, and also have certifications in data privacy. That would also boost your credibility and boost your let's say your and boost your yes, just to boost your credibility as it is. So going forward, compliance and enforcement role of a DPO. One, regulatory compliance. So as a DPO, as the DPO, your work majorly is to ensure that your data controllers and processors are compliant with the laws on data privacy and every other law that they also need to be compliant with. Aside not just data privacy laws, but at least all laws that revolve around data privacy must ensure that your data controllers are in compliance with them. Number two, so am I on course? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay,
Yes, we can
thank
hear
you.
you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So number two, data audit. As a DPO, you have to conduct regular data protection audits to assess the organization's data processing activities and ensure they align with the NDPR or the NDPA. So as it is on its face here, your duty is to the way accountants do audit of the accounts of a company. You as a data protection officer, you have to make data audits of data controllers or processors. Data protection impact assessment, DPIAs. So as one of the things DPOs also visually do is this DPIAs, data protection impact assessment. This according to what the law says, whenever processing of data of data subjects rather would pose a risk, either a high risk or a low risk. More the law says high risk though. But whenever processing of data privacy data would pose a risk to data subjects, there must DPOs have to conduct a data protection impact assessment to determine the level of risk such processing would give to the data subject. So this is what DPOs will have to do. They are the ones to look at the whole processing package and determine the level of risk, whether to be on the high side or on the low side, and also advise the company, or more just advise the data controllers or data processors whether to move ahead or not in their processing. So, and then advising and educating. As a DPO, one of your jobs is also to advise and educate your data controllers or anybody that you work in, either as a public officer or as a private officer. Your job is to more or less tell your company, educate them on the need for data privacy compliance. Lastly, okay, you also liaise with the regulatory authorities. So as a DPO, you are more or less the face of the company when it comes to liaising with regulatory bodies. Like in Nigeria, you are the face of the company when liaising with the NITDA or the Nigeria Protection Bureau or any other agency of government that is interested in the activities of your employers or of your clients if you are working as a freelancer. Also, you have to conduct incident response. When there's a data breach, one of your jobs as a DPO is to conduct an overall incident response of that breach to determine how much of data has been leaked or how much of data has been hampered with. You also conduct record keeping. As a DPO, you have to maintain records of your data processing activities. So every data controller that process data, they have data processing activities, both from collection of data to storage to protection of the data. So as a DPO, your job is to record the activities at each point, know how much data has been collected, know how much they are complying with regular laws as to protection and also as to processing. Even in the case of cross-border transfer of data, you must be there to record everything so that whenever you want to give a report or whenever you are going to present the processing activities of your organization, these records will guide your decision making as a whole. So training and awareness. The DPO may organize in line with advice and educating. So as a DPO, you're meant to also organize training and awareness programs for data controllers and processors, and also to make sure that data subjects are also in the know on how to protect their own privacy, on how to protect their data that is in their own reach. Enforcement support. So in case of non-compliance, the DPO may assist the organization in implementing corrective measures, addressing issues raised by regulatory authorities, and ensuring that penalties and sanctions are avoided or minimized. So in essence, whenever there's a breach and there's a sanction on an organization, a DPO's job is to ensure that the organization is compliant with the sanction, payment of fines. If it's to give a report, you are meant to assist the organization to prepare a report and submit to the regulatory authority. Continuous monitoring. At the DPO, your job is to ensure that each and every point you are monitoring data controllers. We're monitoring the processing activities of the data controller, both of how they process data and how they store data, to ensure that they are at every point they are being compliant. So move to the next one. When a DPS is required, and so a company needs to appoint a DPO, whether as a controller or as a processor, if its core activities involve processing of sensitive data on a large scale or involve large-scale regular and systemic monitoring of individuals. In essence, a DPO, if you are going to be processing data, if it's going to be processing data of data subject on a large scale, you must appoint a DPO. Like good speaker said, a DPO is not a mandatory office, but in case you want to appoint a DPO and you are also going to be appointing a DPO based on these facts that you are processing data on a large scale, there must be a DPO. And where you don't appoint a DPO and your personal activities is done on a large scale, the law will come hard on you. Like what section, what the NDPA provides, that data protection, that data controllers of major importance, once you are doing that, you must have a DPO in your organization. So for the GDPR, it provides that a DPO must be appointed for all public authorities, and where the core activities of the controller or the processor involve regular and systematic monitoring of data subjects on a large scale, or where the entity conducts large-scale processing of categories of personal data, such as race, ethnicity, or religious belief. The language of the GDPR indicates that the size of an organization is not what necessitates the need for a DPO, but rather the size and scope of data handling. As was initially said, if you want to appoint a DPO, what you are doing will determine whether you appoint a DPO or not. But for public bodies, you must have a DPO. But for private bodies, how much data you process will determine whether you need to appoint a DPO or not. In Nigeria, according to Regulation 4.1 sub 2 of the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation 2019, an organization is required to appoint a DPO whose private responsibility is to ensure that the organization complies with the NDPR and applicable privacy or other policies of the organization. So that is clear on its own that in Nigeria here, every organization must appoint a DPO, but the NDPA now goes for us to say data protection and data controllers of major importance. So until the NDBB brings us a list of organizations who will be considered as data controllers of major importance, we would assume that every organization in Nigeria that is involved in data processing must have a DPO in their employment. Going further, so that there are 4 key factors that govern authorities use to determine if a DPO will be required. So 1 is data subject, 2 data items, 3 length of data retention, and 4 geographic range of processing. Essentially, what is being said is what has been said initially, that the size of what you do as a data controller determines whether you need a DPO or not. So when the DPO is still required, continuation, it says here, an organization is required to appoint a dedicated DPO where it falls within any of the below circumstances. 1, if it's a government body, organ, ministry, department, institution, or agency. 2, if the core activities of the organization involve processing of personal data of over 10,000 data subjects per annum. 3, if the organization processes hello, what is 3, if the organization processes sensitive personal data in the regular course of its business. Or 4, if the organization possesses critical national information infrastructure. In all this now, these four items. If someone that is unmuted. So these 4 items here are what an organization will need to look at, or what the regulatory body will look at to determine whether a DPO is needed. So if a data controller falls within these 4 items, either as a government body or they possess personal data of over 10,000 data subjects per annum, or they possess sensitive data, or they possess critical national information structure, they would need to appoint a DPO. So statutory authority, look at the GDPR Article 37 that provides for a DPO. The NDPA section 32 that provides that the data controller of major importance shall appoint a DPO with expert knowledge of data protection laws and practices. The NDPR under Regulation 4.1 that provides also for a DPO shall be appointed by a data controller within 6 months of commencing of operations. So in all, these authorities, statutory authorities are saying that in essence, a DPO is required for a data controller that would be involved in processing personal data. So the judicial authority here, we have XFAB, Dresden, GmbH, and Co. KG versus FC. Here, the courts, the CJEU, and this should be the courts, the European. This should be the European court actually, if I'm not mistaken. It ruled here, in its ruling concerning DPOs who were employed as German companies and dismissed for just cause from their respective DPO positions due to conflict of interest concerns. In one case, the DPO was simultaneously chair of the company's work council. In the other case, there was a perceived incompatibility with the DPO's other professional responsibilities at the company, which the judgment did not disclose. Importantly, DPOs have been dismissed because of the way they perform their duties and tasks of the DPO. So, in essence, what this case says that DPOs were appointed in the company and were dismissed because of conflict of interest. And
Hello,
despite that,
Emeka. Thank you
yes, sir,
so much.
I'm
But please, at
done.
this point, I think you have to begin to round off, please. Thank you.
Okay, yes, I'm done already. I'm on the last slide now. So, in essence, a DPO is used for every organization that will processing data. So, for you to appoint a DPO, you must look at your processing activities and determine whether or not a DPO is required. Thank you for listening. That'll be all for group one.
Okay, thank you so much for taking over and helping us with that. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's one good thing about the JIIPC mentorship program. It trains everyone to be able to take over and help out. So thank you so much to both our presenters for today. Good job, good guys, good job. Okay, so at this point, we want to go back to our resident experts in the field of DPP. That we have our mentors here, Jadesola and Ridwan. So we want to get to know from them based on your presentation, their feedbacks on your presentations, as well as more insights on the topic for today. Okay, so I think I want to start off with Miss Jadesola. Hello, ma, back to you. Let's get your feedback on the presentation of the presenters for both groups, as well as more insights on the topic for discuss today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can call you God's love, right?
Perfect.
All right, thank you very much. Well done, presenters. You have done a very good work. I went through the slides briefly before the presentation, and I must say that you guys have done a good work. I would have preferred if the second presenter had it on slideshow so that I can follow, but since I got the presentation before and I just went back to that presentation, and for somebody who did not prepare for this presentation, that was amazing. Well done everyone. So I must quickly say one thing. One of the big shocks that I encountered when I started practicing is a huge difference between what you have on paper and what actually happens, quote and unquote, in real life. So that must always be at the back of your mind. There is all these laws that you people have researched on and you have written on, and there is also the part that we cannot ignore. There is a little, not so far away, right? But there is a little form of, there's a sort of is it discrepancy now from what happens in day-to-day activities. So that being said, I will just go right into it. So I think it was the first speaker that mentioned something about a tech person being a DPO. I can't remember if she said it is compulsory or not. I cannot really remember, but I just wanted to say that, well, not necessarily, right? It depends on what is it called now? It depends on the activities of the institution. For instance, now there are companies that process well over 10,000 data in a year, and they do not have need for a tech person. So, well, that would not necessarily necessitate that they will have to go and employ a tech bro just because they want you know now that if you talk to anybody that is doing project management self, not really like core tech bro, those guys are really expensive and their mouth is very fat. So you would find out that what happens in most organizations is they just have a compliance team that deals with all forms of compliance. In fact, you'll find some organizations merge compliance and maybe internal audits together, just to maximize cost. So I just wanted to lay that to rest as well. And you also mentioned something about NITDA regulating the NDPA. I think that was when you were going on the case studies. The new act actually provides, it's the NDPB now that, that they have the primary regulatory jurisdiction when it comes to data protection. I just wanted to put that in there too. And one of the things that also struck me was when the presenters of I don't know now if it was both presentation or just the first presenter was talking about the disadvantage, pros and cons of having in-house DPOs and having external DPOs. If you weigh the pros and cons, you would find out that I think for me, it is better to have somebody on deck, somebody in-house, somebody that is able to detect when there is need for DPI, for instance, somebody that is able to detect that there is a breach. You would find out that there may be a breach of data protection, that person who is even a breach does not understand that there is a breach. But when there's somebody that is involved in the day-to-day activities, you'd find out that it is easier for you to pick it, and it is easy for you to quickly address it before it becomes an issue. I mean, the law gives us a very short period of time to report when there is a data breach. I think it's 72 hours or something like that. I'm not really sure, but I know it is a very short window, and you have to be proactive, so to speak, and it is also cost effective. Most often than not, when you would find relatively small organizations, for some big organizations, right, they can afford it, right, but for relatively medium-sized, small-sized organizations, what you would find is that they'll just have somebody in-house that does that bit, and then you'd have the regular DPCO that comes to do their audit. So let me quickly just through all the slides. I hope I don't take more than the time that has been allocated to me, because I tend to talk too much. So you people have already flogged the issue of who a data protection is, and I'm sure we already understand that. I also wanted to mention something about the qualifications and expertise of a DPO. Without repeating all the things you said, I just wanted to mention the parts of independence. For every compliance role, right, it is very important that whoever is put in that role is independent, or else it defeats the purpose. As a compliance person, your role is somewhat of a police officer. So you detect that something is wrong and you are able to address it. There must be a maker checker, right? For somebody that is involved in the day-to-day, for a management role, for instance, it will be very difficult for that person to also be the data protection officer, because I tell you, all that is in the mind of management is making profit. That's all they are thinking about. So there has to be somebody that is looking at it externally, right, to see, okay, what are the pros and cons? We need to do a cost-benefit analysis of this action that we are about to undertake. Right. Recently, I reviewed my office account opening package, because I feel like there were some questions that were unnecessary, right? It felt like, okay, let us have all the data that we need about this person, because we have the AML rules that we are trying to follow. There's some information that we have to get and stuff. But when I checked all the things all the filings we are supposed to do and all the information we are supposed to have, there were certain information that were not required, right? And it had to be done with. One of the other, I had mentioned it earlier, that as a compliance officer, any type of compliance you're doing, you have to be assertive, you have to be firm, you have to be equipped with the law. Because trust me, when you come up with, oh, this is what we have to do, especially all these people that are customer facing, they will come at you and say, no, they will have 1,000,001 reasons as to why you cannot do it. But if you are armed with the knowledge of what you are saying, you are able to stand up, right? Usually before I come up with a new proposition, or before I argue against a proposition, I already do my cost benefit analysis. Okay, if we say we want to do this thing, this is how much we are going to make. If we say we are going to err on the regulator side. This is how much cost we are likely to incur. So now we have to wait. How much are we making? How much are we losing? And the decision is obvious. You don't have to say, let's do this thing or let's not do this thing. So it is important that you equip yourself with the knowledge of the law. You have to be proactive. You need to be able to spot a problem. Oh, they just launched I'm sorry, I'm going to be talking pretty much based on my day-to-day activities. So maybe I will not speak too much on the tech side, but I'm excited to see Mr. Ridwan's profile, and I think he will be able to speak a little bit better on that aspect. So we have a new product, we have a new way of collecting data, and immediately they mention it, the first thing that comes to my head is, oh, we need to do a data protection impact assessment. What can go wrong? What may happen? How do we do this? When the cost of fuel went up, we had to review my organization had to review our work model, and we had to switch to a more hybrid model. But with that came a higher chance of data breach. We had employees who now had to move a lot of client data into their personal device, and all the other things that come with more remote work. And we had to do like proper training on people keeping their devices safe, even when they are working from wherever it is they are working from, keeping a clean desk policy, all those other bits, not attending certain meetings in a public place before they will go and mention somebody and the size of their portfolio. And you don't know if there's somebody at the back there that, this person has so much money, let's start to follow this person. If they're able to trace that breach that may cost a customer so much, they're able to trace it to you, that's a lot of liability. So we knew because we did a sort of DPIA, we knew there were certain holes we had to plug before fully moving to that type of work. So that is just speaking to the qualifications and expertise of a data protection officer. Oh, penalties and fines. I don't need to overstress that. It can be as little as 5 million, and it can be more than you can ever imagine. Like, I don't want to speak too much on that one. We had some case studies that has been addressed. Let me quickly move to Group 2's presentation and just make sure that I touch up on everything that I want to talk about. Okay, so I've spoken about the qualifications of the DPO. I've spoken to the expertise. I've spoken to the independence. I've spoken to the accessibility, resource support, and I think I've spoken to like most of what they mentioned in that space. All right, so let me quickly go to the questions that were raised. I don't know, God's love, can I go to that now, or is there a session specifically for the Q&A?
Okay, yes, there's going to be a session. We'll also hear from the other mentor as well, and then we'll go to the questions after that.
Okay, so I had a lot of things lined up to say. I hope that I'm able to touch on all the important things, but the role of a data protection officer is such that you have to, I don't know how to explain it. You have to be able to spot a hole. You have to be able to spot a problem from the immediately it comes up. You need to have your template plan on how to address the issue. You need to be able to speak to and not being rude, not being disrespectful. That's why I had mentioned, equipping yourself with the knowledge of the law. That is most important. You cannot be talking and they will assume that you're talking based on assumption. But once they can see that, oh, this person knows what he's saying, then it becomes easy, right, for you to be able to protect the organization. And the other part I wanted to talk about is in data audit. So somebody has mentioned that one of the roles of a data protection officer is to be a liaison officer. So there is always like annual audits that we submit to the TPCOs do, and they submit to NDPB. So they come and they ask certain questions, just to be able to ascertain what your data protection capacity or your data protection activities are like. They come with a lot of questions. It depends on who you are dealing with. I mean, if Bawa and Nikodalo comes to do your data audit, well, God help you, Sha. But some organizations are like more thorough than the other ones. That's the point I'm trying to get. So as a data protection officer, you need to make sure that all the people they are going to be questioning, right? They already know, not just for window dressing purposes, but they know what the rule is. They know what to say. They know what to do. They know what the rule is on how long you are supposed to keep records, because some of us have regulatory provisions on how long we are supposed to keep records. How do you destroy your records? I remember after our audit 2 years ago, I had to recommend that we buy shredders for certain units because there's some information that the paper should not just be torn, because it can be put together by a desperate, person, right? It's better to just put it in the shredder. There's just, it looks simple, and like I said, when you are looking at it on paper, it's a different ball game than when you are in-house, and then you see that there is a lot of things that go into these things, right? So you just have to be creative with your ideas, assertive, equip yourself with the law. You need to know what has changed. And yeah, that's basically it from here. If I remember any other thing, I'll take it during the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jadesola. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love the insights. I love how, one thing I love about um, mentors who have hands-on knowledge is the fact that they give that to us. And that's a good thing about Gypsy. Most of our mentors have hands-on knowledge. It's not just textbook knowledge. This is what they do day by day. It's a functional job for them. So they give us that same knowledge. Thank you so much for that quintessential presentation and your feedback on the presentations by our mentees. Thank you. So over to Mr. Ridwan. Also want to hear your feedback on the mentees' presentations as well as more insight on today's topic. Thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gustav. Mr. Jadesola said a lot, and the examples she gave were very excellent. They were very, very, to the point. They're actually to the point. And it's, data protection is also privacy, and data protection is also about, processes. And that's why she gave examples. And it's not limited, just as the one thing I was I was stressing on then was when you have applications, you're processing people's data, and we have a lot of data going on there. But then you also have to be, conversant. You also have to be, you also have to be conversant with your environment, and stick to the policies. Number one is actually to develop those policies, to develop those effective policies, and then see how to to implement them efficiently. And that actually falls, everything that I've said actually falls under a good or an efficient privacy program. So very good comments, Mr. Jadesola. Thank you so much for that. And going to the presentation of the two teams, I think Ifunaya and JIIPCCMIP, I mean, that was actually very excellent. And I only have, I think, just one comment. I mean, Mr. Jadesola has done, justice to the analysis of the presentation. So I just want to add one or two, just one thing, or one or two things. And the first is actually about the appointments of a DPO. I could remember that Ifunaya in her presentation said the appointment of a DPO is actually, unless if I'm getting that wrong, but then that the appointment of a DPO is actually not mandatory, for a data controller. And I was happy when JIIPCCMIP actually put that correctly, that it's actually mandatory. And we have different provision in the NDPR and the NDPA. And he actually stressed a lot about data controllers of major importance. That's those sets of data controllers are actually they are mandated to appoint a data protection officer. And I mean, we've stated, I mean, the groups we're able to state all the requirements for appointing a DPO, and that was actually very excellent. And I think the major thing to do when you're looking at that practically, in the sense of appointing a data protection officer, is actually to see how you can actually put those two things together. I mean, the provisions under the NDPA. The most important thing is just that, just for us to see how important it is under the NDPR, which in the first place stated that it is actually, compulsory for all organizations processing data, personal data, to appoint a DPO, but then later gave some, I think, 4 different criteria or factors that will mandates an organization to actually appoint a data protection officer. So it's actually important to do that. And that's the only comment I want to make on that. But then the other things I want to say are somehow related to the presentation as well. And the first would be, the conflict of interest. I have discussed this with a colleague before in terms of, how do you, I believe there was, I'm not sure if I saw the case here or maybe I read it recently, where, a data protection officer was actually, it was a case, and the judgment was actually that, the judge actually ruled that the DPO, there was a conflict of interest in the appointment of the DPO. And that is actually I think it is an important issue that needs to be kind of considered when appointing a DPO. So, and it would really, I think what could actually make that come to terms is when, if you need to actually appoint a DPO in-house, or you outsource it to, to a data protection officer as a service. I know we have something like that. So it's actually very important to ensure that there's no conflict of interest. And I think it is easier to run away from that conflict of interest when you appoint, when you appoint an outsourced DPO. And that is actually because the DPO needs to have, the independence to do his work, and he shouldn't be. There's also limitation to, not limitation. There's the DPO actually has that protection not to be punished, so to say, and not to even terminate his employment or his appointment due to his advice, or anything related to giving advice regarding data protection compliance. So this is actually very important for organizations to, to pay mind to, so that it won't be another route to, litigation, so to say. And so this is actually very important. And that's what I actually work for also, aside, working for a law firm, I also work as a what's it called, for a DPCO, because I know we mentioned DPCO, and I reading the, I don't know how I missed that. There's a provision, I think, I'm not sure if it's section, I can't really remember, but then I think I'm not sure if it's section 32, because section 32 actually talks about it's the provision on DPOs, but I know there was a provision that actually states that the NDPA or the NDPC, that's the Data Protection Commission, could actually still license individuals, not even DPCs, not entities. Not legal entities in the sense of organizations, to license individuals that would kind of audit audits a data control or processor. So it's likely that there will come a time when a DPO could actually be the DPC. I just thought to mention that. So and then the next thing I actually wanted to mention is also in terms of when organizations are keen on making money, and then they don't think about the importance of privacy or data protection, and then the only thing they want to make is only money. And it's important, probably a DPO could do that, or or even a DPC or anybody. It's also actually generally important to create that awareness for organizations as well, that privacy or data protection will not actually limit or will not cut off their revenue stream. So what it will actually do is even to enhance that income generation for the company, in the sense that it could actually be a competitive edge. So when you have a competitive edge, we all know what a competitive edge is. So it's it tends to bring more customers, so it tends to attract more customers to that company. So it's privacy and data protection is actually one of the ways to. And in terms of the engineering aspect as well, it makes your systems to be matured because there are several principles, data protection principles, that will affect your systems of your processing systems positively. I mean, in terms of accuracy, in terms of, because when you have accuracy, when you have personal data accuracy, you ensure that the personal data you collect from your customers are accurate. If you are, if you're operating in the AI industry, that means the information, the data you will be presenting, that's after, of course, after getting after obtaining the consent of your customers, the data you will be, that's the AI model will kind of a process, so to say, will be accurate and won't have some of the bad consequences that we could have from the use of AI. So, and there are other things in the sense of when we talk about databases and the likes. So, and that will take me to not to take much of our time, that will take me, I think I'll talk just about one more thing. I think I still have some other things to talk about, but then I'll talk about frameworks. And the reason I want to talk about frameworks, which kind of streamline the job of a DPO, a data protection officer, is making use of a framework, which is a kind of a guideline that has broken down how to manage the handling of personal data in an organization. And when we talk of frameworks, we have different international frameworks like the NIST privacy framework. We have the ISO 27701, and we have other guidelines or frameworks or guidelines that organizations could actually, or standards that organizations could actually use to, or DPOs or any privacy manager could actually use to streamline the how personal data is actually processed in a company. And the reason I want, I'll just leave that to probably some other time. But then this is actually very important to make because it could actually be very large. I mean, the processing of we know that's one of the factors that puts, or that makes some data controllers fall under the requirements, or the requirements of appointing a data protection officer, is that that's under the NDPR, is that they process 10,000 personal data, and that's actually a lot of data, in the sense that it's a lot of data, because and the only way to actually streamline, to ensure that you're complying with data protection laws, is to actually make this framework, to use this frameworks as a kind of a guideline, so to say. And I would want to finish with an example that's happened recently, and that will emphasize the need for awareness. For companies, startups, and especially technology companies and individuals as well. I think it was two cases of a kind of data breach, but people won't see that as a data breach. And I was expecting, what actually happened, not to put in the dark, is that I received an email. I think one was related. One was actually related to a LinkedIn premium, and the other one is actually people that actually volunteered to participate in a summit. And getting those two emails, I mean, I think it was on the same day or just a day difference. I could see all the older receivers, all the older, and this is what that actually portrays, is that it's a lack of awareness from the part of because an individual could actually be a data controller. So it's a lack of awareness from the part of the person, of the sender, and that's of the recipient, because nobody actually raised it. That, oh, it's a data breach for me, because it could lead to different privacy implications. People could use only that email for social engineering, to kind of facilitate social engineering techniques. And I think I'll just stop there. So it's a lot that we really need to, all stakeholders need to come together and see how things could actually be how things could actually be salvaged, so to say. Thank you. Just love.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Again, why I always like it when people who are hands-on actually handle stuff like this. It's really amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for that amazing insight. Okay, before it gets too dark, I think we should quickly take our picture time. Yes, mentees, please appreciate our mentors for fantastic feedbacks, both on the presentations and also more insights on the topic for today. So please can we quickly take our pictures before it gets too dark. So I would employ us to please turn our cameras if we can, so we can quickly take our pictures for the session and probably begin to take questions around for the session. Please let's kindly turn our cameras if we can.
You people may have to add my picture in there somewhere because I'll leave it at that.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. I think a lot of people might not be able to turn their cameras today. Okay, so where that's not possible, I think we'll just move on to the questions quickly. Okay, so the first question reads, I know that some of these questions have actually been answered during the course of the presentations. So the first question reads, how can individuals and organizations effectively balance the need for data security and compliance with the necessity for data-driven innovation and technology advancement in various industries? How can individuals and organizations effectively balance the need for data security and compliance with the necessity for data-driven innovation and technology advancement in various industries? Okay, I think Miss that is all. I'll push that to you to start off with, please.
Okay, so when I saw that question, I'm like, now plenty English. But basically, I'll go back to can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, so I'll go back to the legal basis for processing data, right? There are certain questions that you should be able to answer, and that will give you an insight, right, as to that will help you answer that question basically, because it is a day-to-day question that we find ourselves having to answer. I mean, if you remember, sorry, I'm trying to call up. I had done a presentation sort of on this before, and I wanted to speak to that particular slide so that I can share as much knowledge as possible. But if you remember, when I was talking, I had said something about doing a cost benefit analysis. That's the first thing you have to consider when you are making data decisions, when you are making data collection decisions and everything. So just ask yourself certain questions. Why do we want to process this data? What are we trying to achieve? Who is going to benefit from this data processing? Is there a public interest that will be met? How important are the benefits? What would be the impact? Who are the people that will use this data? How are we going to safeguard this data? If we collect this data, is this something we are able to safeguard? Do we have the systems in place? Do we have the do we have the procedure in place to make sure that we are safeguarding the collection of this data? So hands-on, one of the things that I was able to do. So before now, it was the head of our IT department that was the data protection officer for the organization that I worked at. But we did a particular data audit, and they said conflict of interest, right? It's a management staff and it cannot occupy that role. And that was when I was co-opted to be a data protection officer for my office. One of the things that my company had to quickly do, of course, is quickly send me out on training. And when I came in, I did like a complete and total overall of all our data receipts, like all the places that we got data. And I asked myself all these questions. Do you understand? Are we essentially, when we get this data, are we able to safeguard it? To what extent are we using this?
Hello, ma'am.
This data. Once you are able to answer all this, you are able to make a guide question. So I hope I have been able this presentation that I had done earlier together, so that I can send it out to somebody who will, share it with the rest of the participants. But basically, the way organizations can effectively balance the need for data security and drive for the top of the question for me is make to strike a balance, is to answer those questions as sincerely as possible and then make a guided decision. Thank you.
Okay, Ma, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, someone has sent a live question, but I think we just quickly take them in quick session and move on. Okay, the next question reads, DPO/compliance and enforcement role of a DPO. When is a DPO required? I think this question has been answered during the course of the session, except our mentors want to overflog it again, but I think a particular group talked about this. Or mentors, do you want to throw more light on that?
Yeah,
And I believe
just as if yeah, just as you said, it's actually overflowed, and I think they've answered the question, time and time again. So I think we can just keep it to answer some other.
Okay, so the next question reads, I like this one, although I feel like there's some vicarious thing coming here as well. Can a DPO be personally liable for data breach? Mr. Ridwan, you're a tech bro, so what do you think?
Okay. Anyways, I think this is more for a lawyer than a tech person. But then I think I'll bring the two together. Then because he said tech bro, so I think I'll start from the tech aspect first, and that is I mean in terms of the role of a data protection officer, and the role of a data protection officer does not include you building systems and ensuring that all the security protocols or the security controls are actually built in that application. Or we have different units, different departments that's actually process personal data, and from the roles or from the responsibilities, the duties of a data protection officer that we've seen today, we'll see that it's not that the DPO actually works directly with these personal data. What's the major role of the DPO is actually to advise and to ensure or to monitor the if the organization, the data controller, is actually in compliance with the data protection law. And so that's, you can easily, I think I've even brought the two together already. You can easily say that the DPO can't be held responsible for a data breach. Notwithstanding, from the legal aspects, more of the legal aspects, you can still, if there is a the DPO failed to to kind of provide his kind of how's it called, to do his job the way he was supposed to do, if he was found wanting, so to say, then I believe that the organization, the data controller, could actually sue him, probably separately. That's what I think. But then I don't think, or if he can actually be reported to NDPC, that's it's actually due to this. There's another point I want to make as regards of DPC, but I'll come back to that. But then I think that is a separate issue. But then it's the data controller that's actually going to be held responsible. And I remember that one of the obligations, or one of the obligations of a DPC, or one of the I don't want to call it wording, but then one of the implications that could come out of you acting as a DPC or a data protection compliance organization is that if you don't if you actually provide false information. So I want to kind of see if there's a relationship between the two. That's why I'm saying this. if you fail to provide accurate information about the processing of personal data by company, by data controller that you have actually audited, then you're going to be fined, and then you are also kind of liable to to litigation or to be sued, so to say. So what I'm saying essentially is that it's okay. So what I'm saying essentially is that it's also possible if it can be kind of if it can be established that the DPO didn't do his job very well, and that was actually explained was kind of reported to the NDPC. So probably, but then I haven't seen any. I don't think that there has been any any relevance or any related issue like that. So basically, or conclusively, I'll say I don't think the DPO can actually be personally held liable, considering all of the points that I've made. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, because I was really waiting for that final statement, because a lot of were going through my mind, because I'm asking myself, for example, the NIMSI, they have our details. If there's a breach and NIMSI has a DPO, basically, I don't know who their DPO is. I don't care about their DPO. If I'm going to sue, I'm going to sue NIMSI, not basically their DPO. So I like, okay,
Yeah.
so I was saying, let me know if I should start finding out names of DPOs.
Sorry, let me just quickly put like a small perspective. I completely agree with what Mr. Ridwan had said. So it would basically depend like in the capacity that the breach occurred, right?
I can say this. That is all. Can anyone hear me?
Godslove, please, are you still with us?
I think we lost them.
Oh, okay. I'll just take up from there, right? So sorry, please. The question again was, sorry, let me look through it.
Oh, okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay. Welcome back now.
Thank you. I'm trying to run out. Time has really gone. So basically, make sure there's a mail trail showing that I advise them otherwise. And when problem comes, right? Yes, the external party is going to sue the business as a whole. Then the business is going to look for a scapegoat. But I have to protect myself. I can prove that I followed the rules to the deed. I advised you, but you people chose to ignore the advice. The company bears the brunt. But if you now go rogue, you understood, and some people have access to a company's database, for instance, client base, you now go to sell that information to a third party. You are going to be
sorry.
So thank you. I must beg to take my leave now. I have to like quickly go on with my day. I'll still be in the meeting, but I will be unable to speak.
All right, it's no problem. Thank you so much for being on call. Thank you for so much that you've said today. I'm sure every mentee here has learned quite a lot from your presentation and from your own talk on the data protection officer. So thank you so much, Ma. We look forward to having you some other time. God bless. Okay, so I will still taking questions. Are there more questions? Are there more questions from our mentees? Okay, are there more questions? Please, we're all encouraged to ask questions. I'm sure quite a number of us learned something new today. So please, we're taking questions. If you have questions, please do well to ask.
Hello.
Okay, welcome back, Mr. Godslov.
Thank you. Please, I don't know. Network just logged me out. I'm so sorry. Well, and too bad I missed that explanation by Miss Jadisola. So I think I'll probably go on YouTube to watch that later.
You have to.
No, I have to. I really have to. I really have to, because I was asking before, should I go and find the names of DPOs? Well, at least I'm rest assured that if any DPO should do what's not meant to be doing, probably his DPC will do the needful. Okay, mentees, do we have more live questions? I think we still have a few more minutes in our hands to work with. Come on, it's DPO. Truthfully, after my session, when I went through this same course, when I was taught DPO, after this class, I told myself I wanted to become a DPO. So come on, mentees, this is the time where you can make life-defining decisions. And by the grace of God, I'm working towards that with the readings, with the knowledge that's coming with it. In fact, I think so now here's the thing about Gypsy Mentors. I got gifted a book by one of the leading fathers when it comes to disaster protection in Nigeria. I think that Bami Dele, I think of Alola, I don't know his name. Disaster protection in Nigeria. And I got that book right from this particular class. So mentees, come on, let's break the ice and let's find out more about what it takes to be a DPO. So please, is the pay nice for DPOs? Hello? Can we hear me, please?
Yeah, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Ms. Jadisola will not be able to continue with us, though she's on call, she's listening, but she's engaged in something else.
Okay, that's fine. And it seems as though our mentees are also out of questions for the evening, which means we might have to draw the curtain here. Once a big thank you to our mentors who made it out today. Mr. Ridwan Badmos, thank you so much for that soothing voice that keeps giving us the tea on data protection and privacy. Also to the beautiful Miss Jadisola Esson, thank you as well for being with us throughout the course of today's class. Thank you for your wisdom. To our mentees, both presenters for today, great jobs to you. Hope for better job by the next class. To our other mentees who are on the call throughout, we hope you learned something. Do not forget, go online, post about your knowledge, get people to come and engage on it. You can actually get more mentors through this. Follow our mentors on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and every social media platform there are. Do not forget, the next quarter registration is already up. You can register for the next quarter. And the 30 minutes one-on-one with your favorite mentor is still up. Please make good use of these opportunities. Thank you so much to Mr. Dennis, who has been with us throughout the call. It's a pleasure always having you around, sir, and always jumping in when there's a problem. Thank you so much. You mean a whole lot to us at Gypsy. Okay, guys, my name is Guslav Kabni, and that's the best I have for today. It was an honor being your moderator. Until the next class, to have a fantastic Saturday evening. Bye-bye.